Hi guys, very good morning to you. This is Ajay and I'm going to actually teach you today VLOOKUP, and in this video we are going to talk not only about the basic VLOOKUP, but we are also going to talk about how you can actually use the VLOOKUP in the different ways. Like for example, you can combine it with the match function, and how to use these cells, the external cells in the VLOOKUP, and what is the purpose of that. So we actually are going to start this video number 205. If you're watching me for the first time, then guys, we have already uploaded 204 amazing videos on the Excel VBA, MS Access and MS Access VBA as well. And you can go to my playlist, and over here you will actually find out all these playlists which we have created, and you can see that what exactly you're looking forward to. If you want the VBA on the Excel VBA, then these are the basically the links where you can click and you can find it out what exactly they are talking about. For example, here we have the if function videos, here we have the add-in videos, here we have the another videos like on the access also. So just click on that and you would come to know that basically how many videos are there, and on the subject line you can read the subject line and you can see which actually video is basically going to serve your purpose, what exactly you are looking forward to. So we have the Excel VLOOKUP, the playlist created here. Just click on that and you will be on the Excel VLOOKUP, and you can see here that I have already uploaded 12 amazing videos on that, and they are very extremely useful videos. Trust me on that. You can go ahead and watch. They are all the basically the MIS related stuff videos. So when you work in the office and the real scenarios, when you struggle, so when you have the challenges, how you face them and how you can actually use the VLOOKUP. So you can read out, these are great videos. Super cool exercise on date, VLOOKUP and if. So here we have talked about how you can use the three functions together, right? So all the videos are here and you can watch them on the VLOOKUP. They are on the VLOOKUP, or they are in the combination with the VLOOKUP. So this is also the video number 205, in which we are going to actually start from the scratch. So I'm going to talk about the VLOOKUP function today, and I'm going to tell you that how to use it, and then further we will have some case studies and the limitations as well in the VLOOKUP, right? So guys, what is the VLOOKUP? The first thing which you need to understand is that the VLOOKUP is actually a vertical lookup. Okay, so let me just write it down here. A vertical lookup means that you are going to use this VLOOKUP only when your data flows in the downward direction, in the vertical direction, right? So when I say data flows, then that means the lookup value which basically you're looking forward to. Now suppose in this database we have this is a dummy database which you have prepared, and in this database you can see I have the employee ID, date of joining, status and salary, right? So to understand this, I have just kept it very small, but the whether the data is huge or data is small, it doesn't matter. Your concept should be clear. So now the point is, let's say you are actually here going to get the status and salary. Let's say this is what exactly you're looking forward to. Okay, and by the way, let me just write it here, date of joining, and this is the status. Okay, now these are the two headers which you are looking forward to, and I have got here some employee IDs. For example, I have got here 35 and then 56 and then 66 and then 44 and then 12, right? So these are the employee IDs against which we need actually the date of joining and the status using the main table, and the main table is maintained by your admin department or by any person, right, who actually is responsible to maintain this data. So you have got this data in the same sheet, and here you actually want to find out the employee ID, state of joining and status. So how you actually going to use the VLOOKUP? So as I said, VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup. So what vertical lookup means, that the first thing which is mandatory for you whenever you are actually going to think about the VLOOKUP, always think that the VLOOKUP means that there has to be one common item between your table and the primary table. Now this is your table basically, right? This is your table. These are your employee IDs. These are your department's employee IDs, and this is the main database where you can imagine you have a data in, let's say, millions, right? You have a, let's say, 50,000, 60,000 rows, and all the employee IDs are there. This is entire the company's database, but you are interested only in finding out these employee IDs. Now the thing is, in order to get this table, interact with this table, there has to be something common. So the common thing is actually this employee ID and this employee employee ID, right? If I write here, let's say name, and I write here, let's say something else, maybe I'll write a name, let's say ABC, and then DDD, and I'm telling you, you know, that we have all the names here, let's say these are the names, and I want you to find out the date of joining and the status using this table. Is it possible? Of course it is not possible. Why? Because there is no common thing. You will have to set up the relationship, and to set up the relationship we should have one identity, you know, which is common in both the tables, and at the same time it has to be unique also, which means that so let me just undo it. So the point is, if I have this 35 employee ID again coming here, let's say, well, it is not possible though, because employee ID is a unique thing. You cannot have the more employee IDs, you know, I mean the same employee ID is allocated for 2 people. But just in case if you have, then VLOOKUP actually has a problem, and I will be discussing that little later, because this is a part when actually we would like to discuss about the VLOOKUP limitations, right? So right now let's just assume this is our database. So how you actually going to find out the lookup? You are going to look up this value in this table. This is how, you know, VLOOKUP works. So how you start, every formula starts with the equals to sign. You'll write here the VLOOKUP, and you have the 4 parameters here: lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. Remember, you will have to pass in all these 4 parameters. If you're not going to pass in these 4 parameters, then you may have a wrong answer, or you may have the error. Right? So what is the lookup value? So the first parameter is the lookup value. Lookup value means that, you know, what exactly you want to find it out. So I want to find it out this employee ID, so I select I6. Right? Now many people, what they do is, they, instead of selecting this 35, they select this 35, which is in the A13 cell, which is exactly wrong. Why? Because how do you know that where is your employee ID, you know, laying actually? Because in that, if you are able to find this 35, then that means there is no need to use the VLOOKUP. Then I mean you are actually finding it out manually. So what if, let's say your employee ID 12 is somewhere here. You have a data where you have 50,000 employee IDs, and your employee ID is somewhere here, the 12, right? So when you come back, and if you say that I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function, and in the lookup, instead of using this lookup value, which is this value, I go ahead and I select that value, then the purpose of using the VLOOKUP is going to be defeated, because then what you're doing, you're actually finding it out the, you know, employee ID. And if you can find the employee ID like this, then what is the need of using the VLOOKUP? Then you can simply say that, all right, so 35 is here, so I'm just simply going to copy this date, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here, right? And then I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So in this way, I mean, your job will be done. So that is not exactly we are going to do, right? We want this everything to be automated. Whenever you have changes here, then the values should also change, right? And this is just a dummy database. In practical situations, you know, you may have 100 employee IDs which you are actually trying to look up in the main table, where you have, you know, the data in the millions. So that is why it is very important for us to find out the lookup. This lookup, we actually would like to find it out. So this is how you use the VLOOKUP, and then you are going to find this lookup value. In the lookup value, now where do you want to find it? Now this is called the table array. So I'm going to select my table array, like this table array. This is the complete table which I'm going to select, and then afterwards it says the column number. So what is the column number? Now column number is decided by this header, which is date of joining. Now in this table, if you see that, what is your date of joining header? This one on the column B, right? So if you look at if you look at this table, then this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the third column, and this is the fourth column, right? So you will write here 2, because 2 stands for the column number 2. And then would you like to have the approximate match or the exact match? So if you don't know what is approximate match, please go to the VLOOKUP series, and there you will find a title that VLOOKUP using the approximate match. You can find it out. I have talked about this, but 99% of the cases we always find the exact match. Now some people write here false, but you can also write here 0, because in Excel false means actually 0 and true means 1, right? So if you want to write 0, you can write 0. If you want to write false, you can also write false. That's all up to you. Just close the bracket and press enter, and there we go. So I have got the value, and this is called the date of joining, which is, I think, coming correct. We can see here that is 21st of February 2016, right? Now similarly, you can also go ahead and write the VLOOKUP here. right? So in that case, what will happen, this again will be the lookup, and this is going to be your table. So I'm going to select this table, and then the column number again is going to be 3, because you see that this is the VLOOKUP table which starts with column A and ends at D, right? So it is going to be the column number 3 and the exact match 0. That's it. Now I want to tell you one thing very important. Now when I write here 3 and when I have written here 2, the column number, right, I'm not actually calculating this by the Excel columns, right? I'm not considering the Excel columns. Remember, it is just that coincidentally your table and Excel, the columns, they are actually in the sync, they are in the same order. For example, in this table, employee ID is the first, and for Excel also this column is actually the first column. But let's say if my table would have been like this, let's say, let me move it here, right? In this case, now the employee ID is still going to be 1 for the VLOOKUP, and this is going to be the 2, this is going to be the 3, and this is going to be the 4, right? And that is why you see that when I'm going to press F2, look at this, I have pressed the F2 and this is the table which is highlighted, right? In this table, I'm saying that I need to go to the second column, which is this column. So for Excel, if you look at the Excel, then this basically becomes the third column, because this is the C column. So you never actually write the column numbers here based on the Excel columns. You write here the column numbers based on your own table column headers. I hope this makes a sense, right? This is a very important criteria. Now the another criteria is that why we are actually going to write here every time the VLOOKUP. For example, if you have here some more headers, for example, you also want to find the salary. So does that mean that I'm going to write here the VLOOKUP again? No, this is not something I'm going to do, right? Because if you have 10 headers here, then that means I'm not going to write the VLOOKUP manually on all the 10 columns, on all the 10 cells one by one. No, I'm going to automate it. And this is where we are going to use the $sign, right? So I hope you know the $sign. If you don't have any idea about what I'm talking about, this $sign, then this is basically to use the, to freeze the rows, right, and to freeze the columns whenever we want, right? So when you move your formula in the downward direction, basically what happens, these row numbers get incremented, and when you move it in the left to right, then basically what happens, the column number changes. For example, if I show you, if I link this cell with this cell, for example, like this, now you have a formula here equals to B2. Now in the B2 you have a row number 2 and the column number B, right? So if you drag this formula down, automatically B2 will change to B3 and B4 and B5 one by one, step by step. You can see here, right? Have a look here, B3. So when you're going to move downward, Excel will always increment the row numbers and the column will never change. That's the first Excel rule. And the another rule is that if you move it left to right like this, then what will happen, the column will actually increment, the row number will not change. So this B2 will be actually, if you look at the B column, this is going to be the C column, because after B we have a C, and if you select this cell, you see that here we have a C2. So here the row number is not changing. Now after C2, the next the column is D, and the row number is not going to change. So here you would find that we have a formula called D2. So if I'm going to do this, if let's say I don't want this kind of output, for example, while dragging this down, I want that this employee ID should not be 12 and then 44, because automatically the reference will change, the row number will change. When this B2 will change to B3, automatically in the B3 I have 12, and then in the B4 I have 44, right? So everything will change. So if you put the dollar in front of the row like this, then what will happen, the next time when you're going to drag this formula in the downward direction, nothing will change. And you can see here that I have got the formula as $2. So dollar means basically to freeze the things. So Excel is not going to change anything. As a rule, if it is supposed to change anything, whether it is a column or row number, depending upon which direction you are moving, then it is not going to change, right? So in this case, if I move this left to right, then you see that it will actually definitely go ahead and change the column number. And you can see here that the B is changed to C. And if I select this cell, then this is also going to be changed to the D. Right, so that means that I have not put the dollar, so that is why it is going to change. And as far as the row number is concerned, any which ways it is not going to change, because Excel rule says that when you move left to right, nothing changes in terms of the the row number, right? So if I put the dollar in front of this B as well, and then now you're going to drag it, see what will happen, nothing will change. Why? Because you have a dollar in front of the column. So whenever you write the dollar in front of the column or in front of the row or in front of the both, then that means that Excel is not going to change that thing, right? Now this chapter is all about the VLOOKUP, not about the cell referencing. We call actually this a cell referencing, right? So if you want to have a look, then maybe you can go to my this basically the playlist where I have created MIS Excel demo videos, and let me just show you that because it is very important part. So yeah, you can go to this Excel demo videos. They are all are free videos. They are very long videos, so when you have a time only then watch them, but they are extremely very useful. Just don't forget to watch these videos. Demo video cell reference, this is the part 1 and this is the part 2. Long time actually back, I got them actually recorded. This is one of my demo sessions which when I train actually people online, then these are those videos. So you can go through all these videos and you would find that actually what I have talked about in just like maybe I have covered this topic in one or 2 minutes. Here in these videos we have talked a lot. Actually we have spent almost I think 30-40 minutes on the cell referencing part if you're new to the Excel. Anyways, so now what is the thing we actually want that I should not actually write the formula here again. So we want to actually ensure that when you move the left to right and when you move in the downward direction, basically what things you are supposed to keep open and what things you are supposed to freeze. So it's very simple, guys. When you drag this formula downward direction, then I6 will change to I7 obviously, and in the I7 I have 56 value, and then the I7 afterwards it is going to be I8, I9 and so on. So basically this lookup value should change one by one, because here I need the date of joining for 35 and here I need the date of joining for the 56 and then so on. So that means I will not touch this I6 part on moving it down in the downward direction. If I drag it in the downward direction, see this is what will happen. If I look at the F2, now F2 is a shortcut key which we use to check what all cells basically we have in our reference. So now you see that this cell is highlighted and this table is highlighted, right? So I'm not able to see the table, basically the highlight, because of this dark color. So let me just remove the no border. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's have a look. F2, and there we go. You see the table is highlighted and this is highlighted. If I come back here and this is highlighted and this is also highlighted. If I select this cell, then look at this is highlighted and this is highlighted, right? So basically what is happening now, two things I would like to tell you which is very important. First, you see that you're not getting here the value for the 44 and 12, but we have a value here. We have a 44 and 22 here. So the problem is that, as I said, that when you're going to drag the formula will keep on incrementing the row number of every cell. So you started here from I6, and if you look at this is your I6. By the way, this 35 is not clear to us, so we can do one thing, just select the cell and just keep it in this align left, right? In this way, when you press F2, you will be able to see the complete cell. Now we can see the cell. So 35 VLOOKUP actually tried to find it out in this table, and it found and it returned the value. Similarly in the 56, in this table, as you can see that 56 is coming, so it found. In the 66 again, it found. You can see that table is basically moving, which is wrong. Table should not actually move, because in our table we have all the employee IDs, and doesn't matter whichever employee ID you want to find, your table should always start from B. And that is the reason when I press F2 here, you see that the VLOOKUP is trying to find out the 44 in this table. Now why it is moving? It is very simple, because as a rule, if you drag the formula down, then this B5, you can see here that when we actually wrote this formula, we were on the B2, because B2 was the starting point. But then gradually, when you actually drag it, then it started increasing its row. So here B2 became B3, and here B4, and then here B5, and that is the reason ultimately when you reach to the 12 and the 44, your table is actually out of the control, right, out of the reach. So this 12 and 44 is not approachable, and that is the reason we actually not able to find it out. I am sure that you would have come across this problem many times if you work on Excel a lot, because VLOOKUP is a formula we use it a lot. So now what to do in this case? You simply need to freeze the table. So in this case, I'm going to freeze the table. Now the next thing which comes in our mind is that, okay, so we will freeze this table like this. I can put here $, and I can put here the $. This is the end, E14, right? I can drag it now. So let's just drag the formula after this putting the dollars. So I'm again going to drag and look at this, guys. Now if you look at the F2, the table is not changed, and if the table is not changed, VLOOKUP is able to find it out the 44.4 for you, right? But is it enough for us? It is not enough for us. Why? Because when you're going to copy this formula and paste it here or drag it, one and the same thing, now look at this. I got the value called the undergrad, right? And I can drag it and you would see that the values are coming perfect, right? But is it the correct way? I don't think so it is a correct way. I'll tell you the reason. Now first of all, let us understand why we are getting this value. Look at this. I'm pressing F2. First of all, your table is moved, because you know that left to right the table is going to move, so your cell will change the column part, right? So in this, you started from the $2, so obviously the next time when you drag this formula left to right, in the left to right, Excel is going to change the column number. So B will change to C and E will change to C. E will change to F, sorry, right? And not only this, even your lookup is changed. Now you see that VLOOKUP is actually finding out 21st of February in this data, which is not the good idea. Why? Because date of joining is not unique. Somebody else can also have the same date of joining, and in that case you will have a problem. Ideally, we should have the the lookup value here in the J6. It should have been actually I6, because this employee ID is actually a unique. Anyways, let me just change it to this employee ID, right? So that is the thing. That is what we are going to actually find it out. So if this 21st of the February, let me write it here, 21st of February, for example. This is what I'm writing here. Now look at this. The moment I'm going to press this enter, look at this, what will happen here. Do you see that the undergraduate changed to graduation, the grad, right? Why? Because VLOOKUP always works on one principle, that whenever it finds the value on the top, it never goes in the downward direction. So in this table, the moment VLOOKUP found this 21st of February, it immediately go to the column number which is called the 2, which is this column number. Because if I select the table, look at this. In this table, now this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the third column, and this is the fourth column. So we are saying that please find it out, look up this 21st of February in this table and go to the second column number, which is the status. So it found this graduation, and that is why if you have the same value coming here, the repeated value which is in the last row, you can see here, this is the undergraduate, it will never be approachable. VLOOKUP stops when it finds its result. So two things. One is that we have not used the cell referencing properly, because this lookup should always be the unique value. It should not be repeated. And the second thing is, as I was telling you, the limitation of the VLOOKUP. This is also the limitation of the VLOOKUP, that if you have a lookup coming again and again in your table, then it always picks the first lookup. It never goes for the second VLOOKUP. So that's the thing, right? So the first, now what we are actually supposed to do, first of all, we will actually going to freeze the table also. So I'm going to freeze this, this B2 as well, B column. So I'm going to put the dollar key. Okay, and then here also I'm going to put the $I6. Remember, the shortcut key to put the dollars is F4. If I'm going to put the F4 here, you see that the dollar inserted in both the fields, the column as well as the row number, but I don't want it on the row number, because when I drag it down, it should change to I7, right? So again, I'm going to press F4, and this is what it will give me. Now here in this case, the column is not freezed, which is wrong. So I again press F4, and this is what exactly I need, right? So F4 you can use to basically toggle. So I'm just going to write here, F4 is to toggle around all types of cell referencing. Okay, which means that it could be A1, it could be $1, and it could be $A1, and it could be $A and $1. Okay, so these are the, so 4 times you press F4 and 4 times you will have, you will be on these types of cell referencing. Otherwise you can also use the shift key, that's all up to you, but I would prefer to use the shortcut key, right? So now our table looks absolutely perfect. Now what you need to do is, you can see here that I have just frozen this I part, keeping the 6 open, because the moment I drag it down, I want the row number should change, because only then you will have this 56, 66, 44 and 12 coming out. At the same time, left to right, I want that table should not change at all. So if you see that, we have actually frozen the table completely, we have frozen the every part, right? So I'm just going to copy this and going to paste it here. Now when you're going to paste it here, again you will have a problem. why we are getting the same value? Because if you look at the F2 part, let me just press the F2 here. Let me just close this. Okay, now see this F2. Now your lookup is correct. It's not date of joining. The table is also not moving. So why we are still getting the same answer? The reason is because you will have to change this 2. Because right now in this table, the status is on the 3rd column, as you can see here, right? So you will have to change this 3. Now, once you've done that, we know that the formula is now going to work because we have made it so dynamic. Now look at this, guys. I did not actually do anything. I just changed the column number and the formula is now giving me the results. So now if you put any, values here, for example, you put here, let's say 84. You see that the answer will change, right? And if you put here 13, answer will change. So depending upon these lookup values, basically the header is going to change, right? So this is your VLOOKUP. Basically this is how you take care of the cell referencing part. Now in this case, we have one major drawback which I'm going to discuss, how to use the VLOOKUP with the cell referencing. Now you guys, you see that in this case, let me just make a copy of it. And let's just delete this particular sheet and we can make it a copy. Let me delete the sheet and right click on it and just click on the move or copy. I don't want to basically move it. I want to create a copy, and I'm going to create the copy before VLOOKUP and match. So there we go. Now this is the VLOOKUP 2 and I'm going to rename it as VLOOKUP with cell referencing. Now I'm not sure whether you have realized this or not, but there is one problem. It's not a basically problem, but yes, I mean, in a way you will be frustrated because every time you will have to change the column number. So is there any way we can change these column numbers as well? Because you remember I put in here 2 and I put in here 3. Now what if I have one more header, for example the salary? Now the first thing is, if you have one more header, your management says that now going forward you will also going to add these, basically the salary part, right? So then what you need to do is you simply first of all, let me just change the line style. Let's just make it thin. Okay, and let's just select this again and click here back. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now if you have one more header which is added, now what you need to do, now you see guys, make a habit whenever you have any changes in the formula, always do the changes on the first cell rather than doing it here, to make it dynamic, because from the first cell your formula should be able to run in all the directions, right? Now obviously if I have to include this salary in this table, now I have already selected the table, which is you can see here it is highlighted, so I don't have to rework on the B2 to E14. It is already there. So the only thing which I need to do is I just copy this and paste it here, and here then I'm going to change the column number, which is going to be 4, right? Because salary is on the 4th column, if you have noticed, right? Now why we getting number here? It might be because of the formatting issue. So I'll just select this column and I right click and let's just go ahead and format the cells and make it number, or you can also make it a general, right? And you have your value. Now you see that the value is coming, and now you can simply drag it. There we go. So is it correct? So employee ID 35. Let's have a look on the 35 employee ID. So the salary for is $2,536, so which is correct, right? So it's coming. So in this way you can do that. But the only thing which I was talking about, if you have 16 headers like this, then that means every time you will have to change the column number, right? So in that case, what we can do is we can write here the column numbers. Now you know that the date of joining the column number is 2, so I'm just going to write here 2, and then the status salary, ultimately you just need to drag it. So if you have, let's say 20 headers, you just need to drag it like this and just click on this and make it fill series, right? So everything is now in the order, you can see here. So I don't have anyways these many headers, so I just delete that. But quickly you can form the column numbers 2, 3, 4. Now instead of writing the column number manually, what you can do is here, let me just delete the entire portion and let us just work on this again. So this is the refined form of the VLOOKUP, which I'm going to tell you. This is more of a VLOOKUP with the cell referencing. So here, instead of writing here 2 as a constant, because if you write the constant, then basically the Excel rule doesn't apply. The rule which I was talking about, when you move the left to right, the column changes, the rule does not change, and when you drag it down, the column remains same, but the row does not change. So but the moment I select this cell, now this is not a constant because this becomes J13. So eventually what will happen, Excel is definitely going to change its column number and the row number depending upon, you know, the which direction we are moving. So now you see that if I move this left to right, J13 will change to K13 because after J we have a column K, and you know, then automatically the 3 is going to be picked up, and then thereafter the K13 you will have, let me just write it down, let me just drag this, and you can see that the moment I press F2, 35 we are checking in this, you know, the table, and the column number we are picking up is this, which is 3, which is correct, right? So now this K13 is further going to change to L13. So you know, automatically now this actually has eliminated your that manual work, right? So how about moving it in the downward direction? Now if I move it in the downward direction, I will get the error. The reason is very simple, right? You might have judged it. It's simple because the row number is going to be incremented. Now after J13 we have a J14, and in J14 we don't have anything, and similarly if I select this cell, you know, you see that it is again the J15. So what we need to do, we need to simply going down, we need to freeze the column number, row number, and so I come back to here and I just press F4. Let me press F4, this one, right? Do you need this? No, I don't need this. I don't want to freeze the column. Remember, it's not going to give you the correct value, and this is the original value, so I will use this J$13. The moment you do that, you see that copy and paste it here and paste it here. So have a look. Now in this case we have a lookup value is here. Again, your lookup value is some, you know, it's not basically coming correctly. It's basically superseding this, so just change the formula, and not change that, I mean, you know, click on this left and the formula direction will be changed. Now we can have a look. Now press F2. So this value is, you know, we are picking up here, we are finding out this value here, the VLOOKUP, and it's going on the second column. The moment you come to this cell, again you see that because you have frozen the row number of this J13, so the row number is not changing, and at the same time here the column number is changing, and we need the third column here. So in this way now the formula becomes dynamic. You can immediately go ahead and copy and paste it, or you can drag it whatever you want. So in this way now anytime you have a new header, you just need to, you know, drag this to the right side and your things will be done. So this is, guys, called this VLOOKUP with the cell referencing, and this is perfect, you know, example of the making the VLOOKUP a very dynamic function, right? So this is what we actually have done here, right? Just in case if you want to have a look on this, then you know, you can pause the video, and what you can do is let me just remove the equals to sign from this so that you can have a look on this entire function what we have done. So let me just replace the all, and there we go. Okay, this is only for you. I'm doing it because I know in the video it might be a little difficult, so let me just maximize it. Double click here, and this is what exactly your formula looks like, right? So you can have a look on this. This is the formula, this is how the formula works, right? Now there is another thing which I want to tell you. As I was telling you that we will also be going to make this. Now here also we have a, you know, the challenge, right? So let me undo this now. I mean, obviously if you pause the video, you can have a look on that, but let me just undo this again. Let me just make the formula again. Okay, now you see here also one question actually comes. So what if, Ajay, tomorrow my management says that you need to put this status, you need to change the, you know, the header of this, so you are going to make this date of joining, and then this is going to be your status. You see that these values automatically not going to change, right? So if these values are not going to change, then that means there is still problem. So ultimately you will have to change your column numbers. So you will go here in the table and you would see that what is the, you know, status column number. So you, instead of 2, you will write here 3, and then what is the column number of the date of joining in the main table, which is 2. So you will have to change this to 2. And similarly for the status, you will find that what is the column number for the status, it is 3. So you will write here 3. So in this way, you know, actually basically your formula will change. So what is the important step here? If you can automate these column numbers depending upon these headers, then your VLOOKUP will be perfect. And this is what exactly we are going to do right away, right? So I'm going to create a sheet for this. Another sheet I'm going to create a copy, and let's just move it here, move to the end, and here let me just delete this sheet. We don't need this sheet, and here we are going to discuss about the match function. Now guys, match function actually returns the position. Okay, so here we are going to combine the two functions together, and then we are going to make it dynamic, right? So by the way, let me just write it here, salary. okay, and then you will have to change the column. You know that in the salary the column number is 4, so I will change this and the salary will come, and you will have to change this. Just right click or use the format cells or go to the control 1. Control 1 is the shortcut key, so just press OK. I have a shortcut, you know, the playlist on the shortcut series as well on under my playlist. So there we have 3 videos, series 1, series 2, series 3, and we have talked about almost 25-30 shortcut keys in Excel. They are very useful. You can go ahead and, you know, if in case if you are interested in knowing all the important shortcut keys which are must actually known, you must know those shortcut keys. You know, if you really work extensively on the Excel, then you can go ahead and watch that series, right, one by one. Anyways, let's come back to the topic. Now this is the issue, how to actually automate these things. Now guys, we are going to use here the match function. Now what is a match function? Basically, match, actually we use it to return the position. Okay, for example, let me give you a very simple example. You want to find out the position of this 35, or basically in other words I can say that in this table you want to find it out the, you know, the position number of the 35. So how you use the match function. What is the lookup value? This is the lookup value which I want to find. So match is going to pick up this value, and you know the next parameter is the lookup array. So in this table it is going to, you know, capture that value, and the match type is going to be less than, greater than, exact. You will keep it 0 because it is the exact match and we want the exact match. Now if you look at this, I got the row number as 2. Obviously in this table the 35 comes on the second row, right? So if I change this to 12 and I press enter, you see this position will automatically changes, and you know that the position is of this 12 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? So match works horizontally and vertically both. For example, in this case, let me say that if I want to find, let's say, the date of joining position, okay, so date of joining I want to find in this table, not the vertical table, because here I have all the headers, right? So how will you write it? You will simply write the match function, and you will select the lookup value as date of joining, and you will select this table, and in this table what is your exact match, you will write here 0, and you see that this is going to give you the second position. Now because your table is moving in the horizontal direction, it's not a vertical direction, so in other words I can also say that the column number of date of joining header is actually 2, right? Or I can say the position of the date of joining is 2. It's one and the same thing. Now if I change this to employee ID, what will happen? So basically you're changing the header, so obviously you know that this is going to be the 1, and if I change this to salary, then this is going to be 4, and this is the same principle we want to apply here. So here we have written 3 to 4 manually, right? So here we are not going to write the things manually. Let me delete them. Obviously if you delete them you will get the error here, because now VLOOKUP is not able to find the column number. So here what you will do, you will simply write a match. Now what you actually want to find it out, obviously you want to find out the, you know, where is this status, what is the column number of the status. So you want to look up your table's actually status in this table, which is this table. I select this, and then you're going to give it the exact match. So you write here 0, right? Now the moment you drag it left to right, look at this, J5 will change to K5, and the K5 then match will find it out the date of joining, but provided you should not actually change the table. The table should remain as it is. The starting point should be B and the end point should be E column, right? So that is why I'm going to actually freeze the table. So I'm going to put the dollar here. I am completely freezing this, right? So now I just simply go ahead and drag this. Look at this, guys, the numbers are also coming and the position is also coming. Now the benefit of this is, let me press F2, look at this. So match is now finding out date of joining in this table, right? Now you let me give you a warning here. Yes, it's a warning, because if you don't know this thing, then you will never be able to succeed in this kind of a problem, basically the problem where you headers, if you change the headers, then the values are not automatically populating. Remember guys, match, when you work on the match, it always uses one row or one column. Depends if your table is in the vertical direction. If you look at here, when I was trying to find out this employee ID 12 in this table, I did not choose the column I to J or column I to K. I only chosen the column I, which means that it has only one column, right? Similarly here, I did not choose this more than one row. I could have chosen the table like this, right, thinking that this is going to pick up the employee ID and the salary and the status. No, if you do that, your match function will return error. So you need to remember, if you're using the table in the vertical direction, it should contain always one column only. If you're moving in the horizontal direction, then it should contain only one row, and that is the reason we have selected here not the entire column but only B2 to E2, because this table actually has only one row, right? If you want to, if you're going to select it, like, you know, if you're going to make this E20, let's say this table, this will give you the error. You can try on that, right? So now the benefit is that now whatever the value you will write here, the headers I'm talking about, right? So these are the headers basically. So if you're going to make them, let's say I'll write here salary. Look at this, automatically your number will change. Can you see that? Now the salary is changed. Now obviously you will have to basically format it. So you need to format this value, and then you just go to the control 1 and just make it general. That's it. Okay, in the same way, if I'm going to make here date of joining and I press enter, you see that now dates are coming. Now dates are always stored as number, that is why you are here, you know, seeing the number. So just go to the control 1 and just give them the any format. So let's say we will actually like to give this kind of a format. Okay, and just double click it, auto fit it, and there we go, right? So if I'm going to write here status, you see that the value will automatically change. Why? Because these numbers are getting changed, and this is the benefit basically. You know, this is the benefit of using the VLOOKUP with the match function. Your values will automatically changes, right? So this is how you use the VLOOKUP with the match function, and you can make it dynamic, right? Okay, now I was talking about the limitation part as well. Now the first limitation which we are going to do, we are going to make the case study 1. So the limitation you know, using the VLOOKUP is going to be, this is the limitation. For example, let's say you have here employee ID 100, 200 and 300 and 400, right? And suppose you have here their maybe let's say they have some marks, you know. Okay, so these are the marks. Now this is your, let's say, just imagine this is your main table. Okay, it can hold n number of obviously the employee IDs, and here you are trying to find the employee ID with having this 100, and let's say again we have a one more 100 and then 200. Right? So in this case, if I write here marks, and let me just add one more employee ID which has the same number, which is called 100, right? So in this case, what will happen when you're going to use the VLOOKUP, because your lookup value, which is the employee ID, is coming twice, is coming more than once, you will not be able to find the second answer, the second marks, which is 87. So when you're going to use the VLOOKUP here, and you are going to, you know, refer to this table, and you're going to say that second column and 0, I need the exact match, and then of course we will have to freeze the table. So let me completely freeze the table, and now I'm going to copy and paste it. You see that you will get the answer here 44. You will not get here 87, right? So this is the first limitation. It is not going to work on the repetition. So VLOOKUP doesn't work on the repetition, right? So though we have a lot of ways of working around this, but that is something I'm not going to discuss in this video. This is simply plain and simple the VLOOKUP concept, right? That's the first limitation. Now the second thing is, let's say if I have their age here, this is what I have written here. Let's say these are the age. Now guys, if you are also looking forward here for the age, then you see that you will not be able to use the VLOOKUP, because in the VLOOKUP, when you write the VLOOKUP, you understand, when you read this, looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table and then returns a value. What does that mean? That means that whenever you are trying to look up something from your table, this employee ID in this case, then this always should be the first leftmost column of the primary table, of the main table. So that means if you're going to select your table like this, then the employee ID will become the second column, and VLOOKUP will not like that, right? VLOOKUP will hate you for this. Right? So what you need to do is, you need to ensure that this should always the first column. Now if this is going to be the first column, then you cannot go in this direction, because if you go in this direction, again employee ID will become the second column, right? Because calculation always starts from the left to right, right? So in this way you don't have the option, because VLOOKUP always works like this, left to right, provided this column should be the first column. So then what will you do? Well, then you will have to move this age header. If you know the index function, then you can go ahead and, you know, watch some videos on the index function. You can go here Excel index, and you will find out some index videos there. Index is again a lookup function, and index works in all the directions, so it is more powerful than VLOOKUP, right? But generally we don't actually, we like to stick to the VLOOKUP only because of our, you know, the limited knowledge area. So I would say, just in case if you still ask me that how about, then, you know, if we don't want to use the index, then what is the option? Then the option is only this. You just need to copy this data and put it here. cut and paste, copy and paste, whatever, that depends. Now I don't know, but you need to move it to the right side. And then the next time when you're going to use the VLOOKUP, then obviously you know that the VLOOKUP will pick up this employee ID, and we will start our search from here, because this has to be the first column, leftmost column, and the column number will be 3 for the age header, right? So in this way, this is the second limitation. VLOOKUP always moves left to right. If you have your fields, you know, to the right side of the lookup value, then you will have to move them. Okay, sorry, to the left of the lookup, then you will have to move them to the right side of the lookup. So these are basically the 2 case studies I wanted to tell you. They are very, very important, right? So guys, this is the end of the VLOOKUP. So we have learned VLOOKUP. We have learned the VLOOKUP with the cell referencing, how to make it dynamic. Instead of writing the column numbers manually, you can simply, you know, go ahead and link those values with the cell. But here also we learned that if the header changes, then the numbers are not going to change, the values are not going to change, because this is more of the manual, you know, entry. So we have further went ahead and we use the match functions here, because match function always looks up these headers and in the main column and returns the value. So whenever you change anything here, suppose I change the here status, now when I press enter, this 2 is going to change to 3, as you can see here, and automatically this 3 we are using here in the L13, which is the column number, and then VLOOKUP finds out 35, and 35, after finding the 35 here, we, you know, it sees that the column number is basically the 4, and it goes to the 4th position and returns the value for you, or the 3rd position, whatever it is, right? So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this had made a lot of sense to you guys. Whenever next time you're going to use the VLOOKUP, you can now use it with a lot of ease and a lot of efficiency. So I will be back with the video number 206 very soon. Till then, you have this Excel on your tips, and have a very, very good day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.